What's up, everyone, and welcome to another hot take here on Bitcoin. Let's start off looking at the weekly time frame. The thing we've been covering in the weekly time frame the last couple weeks is this increase in bear volume right here, coupled with this bearish divergence on the RSI with a higher high in price, but a lower high on the RSI. We're currently trading down, but right now, as soon as this week opened, we started trading up. So the bulls are trying to make this black candle a support level if we end up pushing above here. But that will be, that's a ways away. We still have 2 days and 7 hours until this week closes. We may end up forming an inside bar this week, and then the following week is when we'll have to, decide which direction we're going, basically. But if we go down to the daily time frame here, we have a little bit more clarity. So this blue zone is our weekly level, but if we look at the daily time frame here, the gray level is our zone of resistance, and then this level right here is going to be our zone of support. Now, this zone of support right here has been tested several times. So if we look at this, we have our first test here, second test here, and now we're coming into it for our third test. Now, the more times that you test a resistance level, a support level in this case, the more the level weakens. And so every time we push into this level, the buyers at this level, there's fewer buyers at this level every time that we test it. And so we're pushing into it now for the third time. We'll see what we get here in the next couple days. If we end up closing below this level with 2 consecutive candles, that'll turn this into a resistance zone. So that'll be something to watch. But if we go to the 12-hour time frame, something I want to point out here that I think is really important. On the 12-hour time frame, there's a couple things. One, we have this decrease in bear volume, and as we go down. And so that's signaling that potentially we might get some bull volume starting to perk up, and that's what we're seeing on this 12-hour time frame. And on the 12-hour time frame as well, something else to note is we actually changed the trend on the 12-hour time frame back to bullish after this low, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low kind of series of movements in price here. We had our low, high, higher low, and then higher high with 2 candles closing above this high, signifying that the trend is now bullish on the 12-hour time frame. But then you see we traded down, and then we went down below this low for a lower low, but we did not close below it just yet. And what that tells us is this move down here may end up being what we call a liquidity run. Now, a liquidity run is where the whales in the market, the big players, the ones with the most amount of money, push the price to a certain area where stop losses are. And this is where people put their stop losses most likely if they went long somewhere in this range right here. They put their stop losses right below this low. And so what that means is, well, if the whales push the price into this level, they will trigger people's stop losses, which allow the whales to fill their orders, because they need liquidity, which is money, to fill their orders. Without that, they can't just execute their hundreds of millions of dollars against the regular market without triggering some sort of stop loss. Because of the fact that their orders are so large, they'll move the price. So that's why they have to push the price down in this case. Potentially, this is what this is, to this level, so then they can get the liquidity, close above the low right here, and then potentially trade up from there. Now, for that to be valid, for this kind of liquidity, for this to be a liquidity run, we're gonna have to see the price change the trend on the 4-hour time frame. And so if we go to the 4-hour time frame here, there's a couple things we want to note. One, we have a bearish trend on the 4-hour time frame that we're going to need to change. So we had our high, low, lower high in comparison to this one, and then lower low right here. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And then we had another low right here, which is the bottom of that white candle, then a high, another lower high in comparison to here, and then another lower low here. So now this gray zone, the reason why that's there is that is going to be the resistance zone if we come into this level. Now you can see that we already traded up here and then traded down to starting to try and form a low here. You can see that people are buying the dip here. And you can tell by the long lower wicks on these candles and the increase in bull volume here. Now, if the bulls can manage to form a higher low right here in comparison to this one down here, and then trade above, that would change the trend back to a bullish trend on the 4-hour time frame, and that'll give us a reasonably good chance that a higher low has been set on the daily time frame in comparison to this one right here, and then the bulls would need to push above this high right here to form a daily bullish trend. So we will see what we get on the 4-hour time frame, but something to watch is or something that I want to point out here rather is if we look at the 12-hour time frame, if we put this purple level back where it was, this purple zone is a support level because we changed the trend on the 12-hour time frame. So this level was previously resistance because we pushed into this level, pushed down, and now and then we pushed above and closed above this high. So now that we're trading back in it, it should act as support. So the minimum target for that would be the top of that purple zone, which is up here at about 49,700. So I did initially have this trade set up on the 4-hour time frame that I was planning on taking, which is this gray zone, but I ended up taking my short orders off because of the fact that we may have grabbed a bunch of liquidity down here at this low, and we have a bunch of long lower wicks of people buying the dip down here and above average bull volume of people buying the dip. And we already didn't touch that zone and came back down. And so what that means is if we come back into that level, the purple zone is right, almost at the top of that gray zone, meaning that if we just trade into the top of that gray zone right here, or I'm sorry, the top of the purple zone, and if our stop loss is on the gray level here for the short order, that's really close to that purple level. So it's a pretty good chance that we'll end up going through that gray zone. So what I would actually be looking for would be something like this. This is what I'm kind of looking for now, if I can find my brush. So we had our low, high, and now we're trying to form a higher low in comparison to this one. And then we would come up from there through this zone. We'd go right through the zone, close above it, close 2 4-hour candles above it, and then retest this zone, and then go up from there. If we do that, that will be a very good long entry on the retest right here. So that'll kind of be what I'm looking for, because on this 12-hour time frame, it does appear that, based on the fact that, let me get rid of this red line here. Based on the fact that we have this 12-hour purple zone here, and we changed the trend on not all exchanges, but most exchanges, we had this black candle close above this high, signifying that this was actually a valid support level. It's not, whenever you have instances like this where the close was so close to the high, and on some exchanges it closed below the high, but some exchanges it closed above, you typically will want to, play with caution around that zone, because it's not, people are trading on their exchange, so they're not necessarily going to look at all of the exchanges to determine if the entry is valid or not. So you have to play it as if, just play it cautiously, and that's what I'm doing here. So that's why I'm not shorting that gray zone there. But the main levels to watch here would be the purple zone right here, to see if we hold that level of support and push above that, potentially into this gray zone for the third test of this. And if we do that and we reject off of it into this gray zone and we've closed 2 4-hour candles above that, I will look to long that gray zone, which is right around 49,885 on this exchange, and that goes all the way down to about 49,000. So those are the levels that I'm watching right now on Bitcoin. I hope that helps. If you like this video, give it a like, leave a comment down below on what your current thoughts are on Bitcoin, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.